But in terms of your opinion, just very quickly on that, Paul, start with you. Your thoughts on the technology side and versus the marketing side at the moment?
So I think marketing is going to evolve, and the skills within marketing are going to change, and well, I think they are changing. I think the outbound marketing campaigns and content and the use of video and email in particular is by far more important now than ever before. So I know people still say pick up the phone, and I'm still an advocate, by the way, of picking up the phone, but I think it's what Chris said, it's multi-channels now.
Yes, it is.
So I think, you're looking at, it used to be the power of 7. I reckon it's around 11 or 12 now.
You're right, Paul.
But it's changed substantially. So, but I do think outbound campaigns and the technology to track and use and automate those campaigns is really important.
Yeah, cool. Chris, what did you adopt and what are you adopting?
Yeah, I mean, technology-wise, look, I think it's fair to say that recruitment is often a little bit behind the curve when it comes to technology, and we can look at other industries for inspiration. What if we're looking at other industries for inspiration, SaaS, tech, that sort of thing. Then we're looking at sort of creating demand gen instead of lead gen. So whereby we're making places online and on the internet whereby people want to come to us and learn from us and take that from that. And that's where I think tech has the ability to facilitate pools of engaged people that are fans of our business that come to us that we then automatically nurture, which then leads to inbound leads. And that's the
do you know what, Chris? I mean, funnily enough, this is a good example what we're doing here. I've had a couple of people who couldn't make it today and they're like, gutted, I can't do today. Is it going to get recorded? So you're already getting that demand gen, aren't you, from that? And I think if you can get that demand gen larger, you're going to get a better response from it. Look, I'm not going to leave the 3 top tips to me. I'll come to you guys, but here's my thoughts for what it's worth. I think if you can spend the time doing all the analytics behind what is it in your business that triggers any of the events that gets you a client or gets you a candidate or gets you a new consultant for your industry, if you can measure every single one of those things and take the time to do it, then, as I say, I think you can then work on that in its best way. That would be my biggest one singular tip. And then I think once you've got something that you can measure in that way, find out if there is a technology that does it for you, just because you'll speed up the scale. That's all I'd say. So I've only got 2 really. Paul, if there's 1, 2, 3 or 4 tips that you'd say.
Make sure your strategy is clear, your business objectives, your goals, your metrics, and they've been shared with the marketing team. So that's number 1. Number 2, which is an elaboration of what you've just said, which is use data to measure that return on investment. And we've talked about some measurements there. The last one for me, which I haven't mentioned, I'll be really quick, is, my old marketing team were brilliant at furnishing the sales team and the sales leaders with industry insights, thought leadership, so that it became the reason to go and have a client meeting. I hate the word service review, because service review is all about, have you got more vacancies? This is like, we'll spend 20% of the meeting looking back at what we've done, but we're going to spend 80% looking at market research, thought leadership, data, trends, all these things. And that's where I think marketing's got a massive part to play. And, I used to get an updated slide deck every quarter, and I'd go out and I'd pitch and present these things. And it's really easy to get client meetings off the back of this. If the pitch is, can I come and share some thought leadership, things you need to be aware of from an organizational perspective, things that are going to impact you and your labor market and your workforce over the next 5-10 years, you can get 90% success rate getting meetings with that pitch.
And as you know, when we're getting meetings, we do our job. Just convince them that we're good people. Chris, if there's 1, 2, 3 or 4 tips for yourself that you has obviously worked and that you're working on now.
Yeah. So, I mean, my first thing would be making sure that, as Paul said, really, you've got a strategy, you've got something to follow, something that you're working towards from a marketing perspective, and you've got a clear plan and clear objectives that you want to get through with that. The second would be, if you're a leader in a recruitment business and you want to manage marketing, then take a deep breath and throw yourself into it and actually manage them and try to do that and learn from them, get support yourself, get them support if not, and you don't know what you don't know, and make yourself better with it. And the third is, I'll change it just based on what Paul just said, because I think it's a great point. You can use that meetings to, you can use that sort of insight and stuff like that, personal, but what would be a personal brand to to get those meetings booked in. But similarly, if you've got some really high value clients, then using content as a vehicle, as a Trojan horse almost, to get someone on the phone.
Yeah.
If it might be a nightmare to get that CEO on the phone to talk about recruitment, but if you speak to you send that CEO an email and say, hello, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, I think you're amazing, brilliant, wonderful, and a fantastic thought leader that I'd love to get the insight from. If you could please spare 30 minutes for me to be graced with your presence.
Yeah.
Then I bet they come back and go like, oh yeah, I won't mind that. And then all of a sudden you've got yourself on the phone with someone for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You record a podcast, but then who knows?
Perfect.
Yeah. I will say this as a final thought from me for the leaders that are listening. One of the most successful agencies I know, who's got one of the largest teams that I know, that is a marketing team larger than most agencies on the planet. He tongue-in-cheek said to me, every quarter he feels like he's having to do the justification meeting of justifying marketing. And when you look at the stats of what that marketing team brings to that business, it's more than 75% of their gross revenue. So to all the leaders listening, that's my message. Stop trying to think you've got to justify this. I think you need to embrace it and do it the way you do. Final thoughts, Paul? Anything? Chris, anything that you want to final thought with?
Chris?
Yeah, just like you say, just do it. Like, try it. Look at every other industry. look at every other industry in the world.
Yeah.
They all do marketing and they all do great stuff with it, and it makes them all money. So if you're not doing it because it's hard or you don't understand it, then that's not an excuse.
Yeah, great stuff.
I think my last remark would be, if you don't understand it, just speak to
us,
like Chris or an expert, or you, Keith. Just speak to people who can help you understand it.
Yeah, exactly
and once you understand it, you'll understand the power of it. But you've got to understand it first.
Absolutely. Look, there's no long outro today. Paul Sharp, North Star people, thank you very much. Chris Holland, Kitto, and good luck with this new company, Chris. I know what you're doing is inspirational stuff and thought leadership as well in its own right. I'm going to literally say thank you very much and goodbye. I'm going to press stop recording, and we'll follow this up with all the audience at a later date.